So hello once again traders, Patrick Maldonado here and welcome back to the TCE Trading podcast. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I'm always looking forward to making a new episode of the podcast. I think there's lots and lots of interesting topics to talk about, and I was actually thinking it would be awesome if I did a Q&A episode in the future. So if you have any comments, any questions, let me know on the YouTube comment section. So, in today's podcast, I will tell you a little bit more about my trading story. I've already covered a little bit, but I will be also talking about how I learned to trade, the challenges I went through, and the mistakes I made. And I will also be pointing out the advantages and the disadvantages of both paid and free courses, as well as the aim of TCE Trading in this regard. So please do me a favor and rate the podcast. Let me know if you like it, and if not, please let me know how I can improve it for you. It is very appreciated. So let's start with today's episode 3, and let's start talking a little bit more about my story, because you should already know a little bit if you listen to the first podcast that I've put out. But as some of you may already know, I basically started trading with binary options. So that way I started learning. I don't want to bash anyone. I don't want to endorse anyone. So I'm not really gonna give any names. But there was kind of this person who was giving free courses online, and he was all over YouTube in terms of video. He was all over these paid ads and he was basically selling this free course and free webinars if you join. And kind of the hook that he had is that he said, you're gonna learn about this. This is a good way to make a lot of money, and it's free, so you might as well. So that's kind of what the hook was, right? It's free, so you don't lose anything. So the way that it worked is that you requested to join, and they told you that you had to go to a broker, and if you sign up and you made a deposit, you would get access to the free signals and to the free webinars and all that. So I didn't know by that time, to be honest, that they would get commission out of them, out of the brokers. And what they always said, it was that you can always take out your money, right? That was the idea, that you are not risking anything. But in reality, that was kind of like the hook. That was kind of like the trap they used, because once that you put your money in, of course, you would be starting to learn about trading binary options. You would start watching the webinars and trade with them. So in the end, a lot of people, including myself, they ended up losing the money in their accounts. And the reason is because all of these people who said they were professional traders and so on in binary options, they implemented a strategy called martingale. Now, for those who are new and you don't know what martingale is, it's basically when you lose a trade, let's say it's $10, you're gonna go back into the market with $20. If you lose those $20, you're gonna go back in with $40. If you lose, you're gonna back in with a double, and so on. So, I mean, if you are into math, and even if you're not, you can know how that can exponentially increase, right? So if you have basically more than 5 bad trades, you are gonna risk pretty much your entire portfolio, and that's what happened. That's why a lot of people lost a lot of money. That's one of the mistakes I made. And to be honest, I mean, overall, I took the free pathway of learning. No, I'm talking about free videos on YouTube about trading, about technical analysis, about strategies, about the different indicators, about different brokers, etc., etc. And to be honest, even though I learned a lot and most of the basics, a lot of information out there is very good. I've never had anyone to ask questions or check if my knowledge was correct, right? Because you can always put a comment on a video, but if the channel is big enough, they're not really gonna respond to that comment, right? There's many people that are watching them, so you're not really getting that feedback. And because of this, I started developing a lot of misconceptions about trading and a lot of bad habits. And that's actually some of the things that I'm still working on, despite all the time that I've been trading. Because once that you make a bad habit and you continuously keep doing that, it's very difficult to change it around. Now, I want to talk about some of the misconceptions that I thought before, because of watching these videos and not knowing better. To be honest, I mean, it was impossible for me. If I don't know something and I don't know it exists, how can I change it, right? But some of the misconceptions that I covered in previous podcasts, first of all, it was that trading is very easy. And if you see all the videos, they say it's super easy. You just need to follow this strategy. You just need to follow these steps, and then that's it. So that's a huge misconception that I had. Another one is that martingale is a sustainable strategy. So a lot of people say that, as long as you are in a good position, if you keep doing it and you have a big account, you're gonna be okay. And in reality, it's not. I mean, it's exponential loss, right? So you're growing your risk exponentially. So that's not sustainable at all. The other thing is that trading is only about analysis and understanding the market. That's a huge, huge misconception. And even on my web page on tcetrading.com, even on the other podcast and in the course that I give, analysis and the market is the least of your concerns, really. Like in practice, it's the least. The most important part is risk management and trading psychology. I can even bet that if you have a good risk management and good trading psychology, even without a good strategy, you are not gonna lose the same amount of money as if you didn't have those, and maybe you would be even profitable. But now, having talked about these misconceptions, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is these bad habits that I started doing or that I started getting. First of all, bad risk management. I remember I did not really know how much I was exposing per trade. I was putting a lot of money and I thought, okay, this is this amount of money, 20%, I mean, $20, $10, $30, whatever. I didn't know really in percentage. I didn't want, I was not taking that into consideration. And of course, the more I did it, the worse it got. Another thing was not using a stop loss. Before, sometimes I would use it and sometimes I wouldn't. I would think, okay, the market has to go up and then it must go down. Whatever goes up must goes down. But in reality, and I will be talking about in another episode, is that the market is more liquid and more volatile than what your portfolio can sustain, and that's huge. Never underestimate the market. Another thing, I was becoming very greedy. Sometimes when I thought it was a very good trade, I went all in and I didn't take profits. And that also became a bad habit. Not recording my performance was another thing. A lot of people, they just try to get these swings, get this one of out of 100 trades that's super, super profitable. And they focus on that. And they don't focus that on the long run, they have been losing money. So recording the performance, it's essential, something that I did not do before. And finally, it was basically jumping the gun on trades and being impatient. And that's something, I mean, sometimes even nowadays it affects me, but of course I've been learning a lot. I've been improving in that, and that's also why I'm starting my professional career with this company that I've mentioned. That's also why I'm giving this course for you, because to be honest, it's all about these lessons learned. And the thing with these misconceptions, the thing with these bad habits is that you never realize how bad you are doing until you lose all of your account. And I'm not saying you lose it once, you lose it several times, right? That's when you realize, hey, you know what? There's something very wrong with what I'm doing. And again, that's why it's super important to have correct mentorship and to have someone to guide you. Because if you don't, it's impossible for you. You can't know better if you don't know what you don't know, right? If you don't know that there exists something apart of what you know that's not working. So now this is the reason why I created TCE Trading, in order to help people boost their knowledge and have feedback on their trading and learning. And to be honest, if I could have gone back into the past and paid for a solid course and proper mentorship, I would have saved a lot of money and I would have avoided sticking with very bad habits that are even affecting me now. As I just said, to be honest, I would have saved a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna really say about how much I've lost in learning because in the end, that was the cost of my education. But I will say that if I had a chance, I probably would have done things in a better way. Now, do not get me wrong with this idea, right? I don't have anything against free content. In fact, what I will always do, even with my students, is I will tell them to supplement their learning with YouTube videos, with other podcasts, with investment sources, with books, etc. But both of them, meaning paid and free courses, they have different advantages and disadvantages. So, I mean, let's just talk about the free courses. The advantages are pretty clear, right? You don't have to invest an initial capital. And that's great because whatever you intended to invest in that education, you can put it into your trading account, right? Another thing is that there's a lot and just a lot of information on YouTube, on the internet, about introduction to trading, technical analysis, strategies, webinars. So there's a lot of information and that's great. Now, the disadvantages of free courses is that, of course, a lot of information can be overwhelming. And without knowing where to start, you're basically trying to fire, aiming pretty much everywhere. You don't have an objective, you don't have a goal. So it's kind of harder to go along with the flow. So it takes a lot of time to get around useful concepts. If you don't know where to start, how can you actually know where to go? You don't have a goal set up. It's also very hard to distinguish good content versus bad content. And the reason is because you don't know better. And if you don't know better, again, how can you potentially tell if it's good or bad? And that's kind of why paid courses, they have an incentive, because they're paid, they want to keep clients, they want to improve their courses, so they want to optimize that the best. But if you're creating free content, anyone can pretty much create a YouTube video. And if it's for free, they don't earn anything. So there's not that incentive. Of course, now you will say that a lot of the bigger channels, they might get ad revenue and so on, and of course that's where you differentiate a little bit more about good content. But when you don't know, you might trust just anything. And the last thing, the biggest disadvantage, in my opinion, is that you can pick up, again, bad habits and these misconceptions, and you don't have anyone to give you feedback. So even if you want to correct that, you can't because no one is really helping you. So you don't have another perspective. Whatever you're doing, you might think it's actually the right thing to do. Now, if we talk about paid courses, again, we have advantages and we have disadvantages. The main advantages is that they are mostly systematic, right? And they will follow a logical learning path, so it becomes easier for your learning. This means that they are time savers. You will not have to browse for all the content, right? They will tell you what to focus on. And if the course doesn't give you that, usually they will tell you where to find the information or what to look for. So that's huge because you save a lot of time. I've been doing this for years, almost 7 years. And if I had gone through a course, I potentially would have saved a lot of time in there. Now, another thing is that usually, and this is not always, there's better content that what can be found online for free. And again, this is the reason because they have an incentive to make the best that they can. Whereas if you compare with free YouTube videos, if it's not good, well, a lot of them are not receiving money, so they don't have an incentive to really make the content a little bit better. Now, the disadvantages are obvious. Pretty much a lot of the good courses can be very expensive depending on the provider. And when I say very expensive, it's crazy. Some of the better courses, they are about $1,000 to $2,000. It's just crazy. And again, the same disadvantage as before. It's difficult to distinguish between good and bad courses. It's very difficult to say who's marketing what and if the marketing is as good as their product. Now it's very hard to get in touch with the providers, and that's also something huge. If you see a lot of ads on YouTube saying, hey, buy this course and so on, and you go into their channel and they don't have a lot of content, they don't have more for free, or they don't answer to the comments, they're not interacting with the audience, then that's a really bad signal. So it's very difficult in some cases. Now, this brings me to the next topic, almost finishing this podcast, is the types of courses, right? And in my opinion, from my experience, there's two really important parts, or two different types of courses, at least for the paid ones. So you will have this introductory slash retail one, which is aimed for newcomers. It's aimed for beginners, and their aim is to teach you a new skill and let you decide whether trading is really for you at more affordable prices, right? So you will see these are the $99 courses or heavily discounted courses, which is mostly marketing, that they say, oh, this course was supposed to be $1,000, you can get it for $87 today, right? So I mean, that's pretty much marketing. Now, the second one is the professional career courses. Now, these are very good ones. They are often offered by proprietary trading companies, as I've said in previous videos, what they are, prop trading companies. And these courses are quite expensive, and I say a lot. But the difference is their end goal is not for you to learn the new skill. I mean, it is, but the real end goal is to hire you as a trader and pay you with commission. So you basically make money and they will take a cut. They will give you, of course, the initial capital and so on. So that's a very good thing. That's a very good end goal. Now, usually these courses are very well structured. They have very high quality content. But again, it's difficult to decide which ones are good or bad. Just same as retail courses. And the thing is that this becomes more difficult as more money is on the line, right? If you are spending $2,000, you're gonna be worried about the company, and most of them are usually private. And because of this, they have limited exposure, because their aim is not to get a lot of people involved, right? It's just to get quality people involved. So they don't spend a lot of marketing for this reason. Now, this brings me to the topic of, and just before finishing the podcast, is what I'm trying to do personally with TCE Trading to tackle this kind of market inefficiency, right? So now that I have talked about the different courses and providers you may find, I would like to briefly explain what my aim is. Because as of now, the course, of course, I offer fall in the first category, these retail categories. And hopefully, it's only for now, as I'm hoping that my project, my business grow, and I will be able to offer professional career opportunities. Of course, that's on the long term, right? I am very ambitious with my project. I really want to grow this as a business, but my main objective with TC Trading is to teach you the basics about trading, technical analysis, risk management, trading psychology, and back testing, so that you can decide on your own if trading will be really for you, right? And I do this by offering what I think, in my opinion, from feedback of my students, what's a very good quality course at a very affordable price. Now, you can always check tctrading.com if you want to know more about the prices and so on. But basically, I give two courses. You can decide for the cheapest version, which is only the online course. It's basically you watching the videos and that's it. Or you can go to the hybrid model, which I actually put a mentorship on top, meaning that we're going to have one-to-one sessions. And to be honest, that's where I think the most important learning is. You doing your homework, me going through the homework, looking at what's wrong, giving you feedback so that we can avoid those bad habits from forming. Most usually, the fear of going professional usually lies on the very expensive price tag, right? If you want to be a professional trader, sometimes it's gonna be very expensive, with these courses and so on. And to be honest, I don't blame people. If I was completely new, I would probably haven't gone with a company I'm currently with, right? Because if you are spending $2,000 on a course, you want to make sure that that's the thing that you want. And Again, this is where TCE Trading comes, because you have a very good course. You can have a very realistic approach to really decide for yourself if you want to continue doing it as a hobby, because that's completely normal and that's something that a lot of people do. You can decide to become a retail trader and only trade your own money, or even you can decide, if that's really for you and you really want to focus on trading, you can really scale up to a professional level if that's what you really want. But in any case, traders, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the TCE Trading Podcast. My aim is always to share my experience with the hope that you will benefit from it, with the hope that you learn something, and with the hope that we can change this industry for the better. So if you are interested in learning how to trade, be sure to check out our webpage at www.tcetrading.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.